Welcome to Invictus Motors. My name is Basheer. We're here to introduce this beautiful Porsche 987 Generation 2 Cayman, and we're here to tell you why you should consider buying one of these and why they already are considered modern classics. Get to the crux of the video, that is why you should buy one of these Gen 2s. Could be a Gen 2 911, 997, Gen 2 987 Boxster, or the Cayman. And one of the main reasons is simply the fact that these were produced between 2008 and 2011. During that time there was a global recession, and the global recession meant that people were simply not buying prestige cars. Therefore, fewer of these cars ever sold, making the values of them go through the roof, especially now. This being a manual made them also rarer, and the simple reason for that is in around 2008, Porsche introduced the PDK gearbox. The PDK was actually a £4,000 optional. However, not many people were speccing to have their car as a base manual. They were opting for the PDK because that was the newer thing on the block. So you've already got two reasons for why you should consider buying a Gen 2, because they were rare. A lot of people weren't speccing them as a manual. They were choosing the PDK. Now on to the third point, they've got absolutely bulletproof engines. What I mean by the bulletproof engines are they've got the direct fuel injected engines. These Gen 2 Caymans eliminate all the issues that Gen 1 had. A lot of people were worried about the IMS, the RMS, the scoring, all these things that I've just mentioned. I mean, the scaremongering and the negativity and the perception that's built around a Gen 1 987 Cayman. The Gen 2 basically takes all of that away. But the main reason the prices of these are quite high is for the simple fact they made very few of them, which makes them very desirable. In terms of technical spec, I'll go through a couple of things between a Gen 2 987 Cayman, which has an engine of 2.9 and a Gen 1 which has the engine of 2.7. The top speed on this is 261. On a Gen 1 it's 242. This offers 300 Newton meters of torque. Combined MPG both on a Gen 1 and a Gen 2 of the base Cayman is very similar. It's about 30 mpg. The top speed, this gives you 165 miles per hour. Gen 1 gives you 160. The 0 to 62 on this is 5.9 versus 6.1. And the overall weight of this is actually 14.5 kilograms. I love and adore the exterior of a Cayman. The 987 to me is the best in terms of a driver-focused Porsche that one can find, because it's a mid-engine car. But in terms of what this offers on the exterior is basically the meteor grey metallic, the 19-inch sport design alloys. On a Gen 2 you get the revised front and rear. And one of my favorite things about Caymans is that it actually has a monocoque chassis, meaning that the skin of the car forms, it's part of the structure of the vehicle. It results into greater torsional rigidity and greater flexural rigidity. And overall, I think it's these qualities that actually derive from a 550 Porsche coupe, and that results into such a timeless design. And Porsche took inspiration from a Porsche 550 coupe, and there is a lot of heritage that a Cayman has, especially 987 Cayman has. Even when you compare it to a 911, we all think that the 911 has a better heritage. But in my view, when I read and understood where the design of these comes from, they come from cars that were basically designed and built in the 50s. The concept of where this comes from, especially in the early days, allowed Porsche to win Le Mans, allowed them to win some prestigious races around the world. But all of this forms and contributes to this design that is timeless, that is absolutely beautiful. And a car, in terms of a Porsche, I mean, what I wanted is to be small, nimble, flexible, fast, handle well, driver focused, and something that's enjoyable and that's going to put loads of smiles on my face. Now we're in the inside of this car. What did we find here? It's an interesting dynamic here on the inside of this car. It's been spec'd towards a more comfort spec, but at the same time, the chrono, which is the biggest optional on this, basically gives you a more driver focused and a more driver orientated drive. You know, it basically tunes, you know, how you're basically changing gears, and you know, the steering wheel is more responsive and more sportier because it stiffens up a little bit. The accelerator is more responsive. I mean, something that we all hold, you know, more than anything else in a car is the steering wheel. And in this, you find the steering wheel is actually smooth leather. The seats, they're not the sports seats, which have the greater upholstery. These are actually the comfort seats, which is what I prefer, because the Cayman is already focused so much towards that enthusiast driver-focused market, and focused to basically give you a very enjoyable and sportier drive. In some ways, I find it uncomfortable. However, with the comfort spec that this has, but also with the ability of you having that chrono Sports Plus package, you get the best of both worlds. You get a car that is comfortable when you want it to be comfortable, and you have a car that will, you know, race you, you know, through these twisty countryside lanes when you want it. The PCM is upgraded. It's got nav, built-in mobile Bluetooth connectivity, so you can pick up and drop calls. It's got heated seats. Suspension on a Gen 2 987 is also upgraded. You get a more robust, more reliable, and a suspension that is never going to, you know, let you down. It's never going to disappoint you. Now on to the owner's history. This has been owned by a lady since May 2017. Prior to her, it's got 4 owners, so in total it's 5 owners. Service history wise, the first 3 services were all done at an official Porsche center, and then the last 3 services were done at a Porsche specialist, and now the car is with us, and we will do a major service including brake fluid change, and the major service will include obviously all the filters, as well as we'll do a 111 point inspection. All of it is done at AMS Porsche. They're independent to us, and should anything critical need addressing on this car, AMS Porsche will address those things. It's nice to just cruise along these countryside lanes. Cruising, I mean, you know, just relax, take your time, enjoy the scenery, enjoy the fresh air, don't make much fuss, and just be glad to be out and about and driving such a beautiful car. Probably as curious as me, wanting to know what the sports, you know, pack can do on this. I'll press the button now, and I'll drop it a gear. Wow, it is very responsive. Oh, that noise, phenomenal. It changes how the car behaves completely. I mean, my cameraman Adam is just being pulled back by the seat the minute you just touch that.
Steady on the front of the camera steady.
That's just nuts. So you know the impact of sports. It changes the car, the behavior of it. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Press that button, because we put a lot of effort in what we do, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. And it's nice to be appreciated for the work we do.